Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Homesteading channel. If today is the first time of you visiting with us, we want to extend to you a very warm welcome and invite you to watch any of our almost 500 videos arranged for your convenience in playlists, as we are confident you're going to find something both enjoyable and useful to watch. If today is your birthday, we want to wish you a very happy birthday. As you probably noticed, our audio is out of sync and we apologize for that. We did experience some audio issues, so part of our video today will be voiceover. Also, our video today will be a little unconventional, as we are going to show you a lot of little projects versus one big project, which is our norm for the weekend. This is going to enable you to find a project that you more than likely use either currently or in the future, as we tackle some of the most common problems in households. As you know, we purchased a new homestead and we're trying to make it comfortable and expressing our own style before we actually move into the new place. So today we're going to start doing some things like painting, checking little problem areas like the doorbells, not door alarms, looking at the smoke alarms, and generally making a lot of small repairs like some of the plumbing issues, some of the fixtures needed to be worked on, and issues of this nature. So stick around, and we are confident you're going to find something enjoyable and useful for you. And you're going to see how we're slowly going to transform this homestead from a strange place to a home for us, hopefully for many, many years of enjoyment to come. The first thing that is reasonable to do in a new space is, of course, to change the color of the walls. And I'm not sure that this is showing very well, but this is a rather dark blue, maybe there. Yeah, that's a good place. And
dark grayish blue.
And we want to use a different color, preferably lighter. But because of the color of this wall, you need to prime the wall before you do a lighter color, otherwise it will just bleed through and will not look nice. So the first step is to start by priming the wall, and we use a Zinsser, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's a Zinsser. There's other brands, but this is a stain blocker primer that should cover everything. So we're just going to do a test patch, right?
Right, so we're going to paint a small area with the primer first, then let it dry for a little bit, and then we have two candidates.
Yeah, we have two samples to try. Colors we might like enough.
Okay.
We may have to get the roller out for this.
I don't know. You decide. Are you going to prime two patches or one patch?
Well, I'll have to do two.
Well, I don't know if you will prime a big patch and then put the colors next to each other, or... Of course, when you look at colors at the store, the problem is that the lighting is very bright and you don't have the conditions that you're going to actually use the color. So if you find colors you like, using samples is a good idea, so you will ensure you don't make a mistake. So when you paint with a primer, you need to be careful not to overdo it. One coat is usually enough. You don't want to too many coats of the primer because it is not a visible coat, and all it does really is allow you to make a lighter color over paint, not make, paint a lighter color over a darker color without having the darker color bleed through and change the color or make the color that you're trying to paint look different than what you intend. The best way to do that is to paint some patches using the primer on the old color, and after they dry, just go over some samples. We bought a couple of samples and see which one look best in your space and which one you would like to complete the whole walls, or if you want different colors, which color you want to use in each one of your walls. So this is a good exercise and a way to make good color choices without stressing about what color to use and how it will look when it is finished drying on your own walls. So here we're done, and we let the primer dry, and we have 3 patches that will allow us to test different colors, and here is our first color. And surprisingly to us, this came out quite similar to the color that was on the wall already, which we did not like, a testament to the fact that very often what you see at the showroom does not really represent what you're going to see when you put it on your own walls. We are going to let it dry and visit with it tomorrow and see how different it looks, because sometimes colors dry quite different than what you see when you first apply them. But right now this is not a color that we are happy with, and that's why you do this test. We are going to move on and do our second color and see if that is a better solution, if it looks closer to what we saw in the showroom than what the first attempt really was. And our second color is a little better, still a little darker than we thought, which again is a testament to why you need to do this and not depend on the colors that you did see into the showroom, but put it on the wall you want to see it, because the lighting conditions, the shadows, and all kinds of environmental things will make a huge difference on how it looks on your wall versus the showroom. And here you see our patches. We're trying again and make sure that we are going to find the color you like. And as you can see, it doesn't make a difference that it's a little patchy behind the color. The color goes in on nicely, and it's going to dry in a very nice and smooth without any bleaching. Do not try to make the primer perfect. That is not the purpose of the primer. It's not a color. It is designed to seal the surface and create a barrier between the color underneath and your new color, which will allow your new color to shine through and not have any problems. Some light colors might change color if painted on top of a darker color. And you can see here a contrast on why you do patches. You can see the one on the right and the one on the left look quite different, and on the one to the left of your screen looks actually much lighter than the one that's currently on the wall, and probably more like what we want, but neither of those 2 colors is exactly what we want. So we're going to have to go back to the store and revisit, buy a couple of more samples and see one that we like, because neither of those 2 are something that we want to put on the wall at this moment. And we are happy we decided to do this. Otherwise, we might have been stuck with a couple of gallons of paint, put it on the wall, decided we didn't like it, and have a total waste of money, effort, and time, of course. It always pays to do those things and test them on your wall, so you don't have to waste time, energy, and money in something you really do not want to be on your walls. Moving along now to the next project, as you can see, the smoke detectors in the house are kind of old and tired, and you can see from the color of them that they've been there for quite a long time. This is something we're going to change. We do not have new detectors with us, so we're not going to do it today, but it's one of the items that you do want to look when you buy new property or a used property new to you, because often this is something you're going to have to change, and there are many options, and we might do an episode about that as well. Here we are on the side door, and we're going to work on the doorbells. When you press the doorbell, you can hear absolutely nothing, and it is hard to know why that is the issue. This is the style of doorbell that has no screws. You just pull it off and it is a friction fit. And when you look at it, you can see that it's quite corroded, and that's why it does not work. So here we have a case that the doorbell needs to be replaced. There is no other solution to this little problem. And we are going to have to put something else there. More than likely, we're going to put a ring doorbell that will allow us to also see to the side of the house without having to get all the way to the door. As I was playing with this here, I'm sorry that the audio doesn't work, but we start hearing the doorbell ringing, which confirmed that it is actually the corrosion of the bell of the switch itself, rather than a problem inside the house with a mechanism that chimes. So that is a good thing. Now it doesn't work again, which tells me that it is the location of those plates that have corroded in a specific way that when I can move them manually, they actually make contact, but when I have them there, they simply do not work. Again, we lucked out here because, again, we know that the issue is the button and not inside the house, that it is a little harder to troubleshoot, especially if there is a wiring issue. We know the wires work because we were able to hear the bell. So now we're going to have to get a new bell and check out all the other details. In this house, we have another bell as well in the front door. So we're going to go to the front and check that bell as well, since we know that we're going to have to replace this one. Likelihood is that we're going to have to do something in the front door, and here we are in the front door, and sure enough, pressing the button does absolutely nothing. And we can see right there, if you can see those two screws, they look corroded, which probably is the reason why this bell doesn't work as well, this button doesn't work as well. The screws are corroded, and you're going to see as we're going to remove them that they are surprisingly long. Even though they are fairly small screws, the heads are very, very small. But don't be fooled by that. It is very common that they're going to be fairly long because they have to accommodate for the thickness of the button itself, and of course have a good bite on the siding of the house so that you can actually have a secure bell there. This bell, as you can see, has no protection. It has no caulking, nothing to protect it from the elements. So I suspect that inside it will be rather corroded. Here is another problem I found. Whoever installed it and then wired it, and they pulled the cables very, very tight. So this is very hard to even show you right now. And I wasn't ready to replace it today, so I didn't want to mess with it. But this is something we're going to have to address. We're going to have to extend those cables. And you use normal cables. Again, this is between 12 and 15 volts DC. That is the normal operating range of these wires. So we're going to have to work on freeing that and extend it in order to put a new button or probably a door ring bell that will allow us camera view of who is at the front door. I'm going to put it back together at this stage because I don't want to leave wires hanging. It is unsightly, and also there is no reason not to do that. It keeps it nice and neat, and it's going to be ready for me when I'm ready to do a final repair. But again, by seeing, you see the screws are so corroded that they have discolored the plastic of top and bottom button, which is a very good indication that this button will not work because of corrosion both inside and outside the button. So stick around for our next step. So here we are inside the house, and you're going to see a box-looking device like this. It's usually plastic, or it can be rather ornate, and this is really the chimes. You can simply pull that cover. If you see screws, of course, and some of the newer ones will have screws, you can remove them. Here you see a little PCB board with 3 screws, and they're labeled either FTR or front, rear, and transformer. The middle one tends to be the transformer, and that is what brings the power. And the other 2 go to the individual bells to close the circuit when you press the button and activate the chime so you can hear that someone is over the front door. Again, this is very safe to work. As you can see here, I'm bridging the screws with my finger, nothing happens to me. Again, this is DC 15 volts, so you don't have to worry about it. And what you see me doing here is checking that the strikers are free, and they are. because that's another common problem with doorbells. The strikers tend to get stuck, and you are not supposed to oil it. In fact, you probably can see there it says do not oil. If they get stuck, really you need a new device. You cannot really repair that. And they don't tend to be very expensive. I'm not sure what we're going to do. First, I want to make the bells work, and then I might put a more modern one here. This is very definitely a very old one, and nothing wrong with it, of course, but we're going to see what we're going to do in the future. For now, I'm just going to just button it up and move on to the next issue. A rather interesting problem we found in this house is that whenever they put new flooring down, whoever did it did really something really weird. You're not supposed to be able to see that carpet there, and eventually we're going to move the carpet, but for now this just looks strange and weird, and it's not supposed to be there. They should have gone all the way through with the tile or under the door, so when the door is closed you see one type of flooring and not that flooring coming out. Again, it's a little silly cosmetic thing. It's not a big deal. This is not something that will cause you not to purchase a house, but it is something that if you are, OCD like I am, you're going to have to address. Otherwise, it would drive you crazy. We do plan to address it, and I've not decided exactly how, but we are going to show you the solution when we are going to come around to making it. Another common problem that you might have, especially in older house, is that they don't meet the access code to the outside. This has a deadbolt and a normal lock, but the deadbolt it is keyed both inside and outside, which will prevent you to opening the door and exiting the house in a case of an emergency, and it can be very dangerous, especially if you have children and older adults living with you. You need there a way to open the door without the key, and that will allow you a much faster access to the outside. And for most modern buildings, this is code currently in most municipalities. So it might be a code thing. It might be an issue that might deter some people. If you resell the house, all those little things I showed you could be issues when it comes to resale, because you might turn the buyer off, make the house look older than it is, and definitely make some question marks on their minds about how good care you have taken of this property that you are trying to sell at a future time. All right, folks, and this is another little detail that we want to discuss with you.
So this is from a shower. This is the single faucet that you have where you turn it right to left and up to down to make it come on. And this is what usually happens when you leave it sitting in there and you don't take it off. So when it's on the wall, it's covered by this little dealie. And all you need to do is take a flathead screwdriver or a putty knife or something, and you can pry this out real easy. It comes out real easy. In there is one little screw in this instance, and this was a Phillips head. Pulled that out. This comes right off, and you can see there's all kinds of nasty goo built up in there. I've left these soaked for probably an hour in some hot water and soap, and now I'm coming back around to clean them. And the second one, looking much better, but I'm going to have to take a thin blade with a cloth or something to get down into the rest of that, because my finger just does not fit down in there. But you can see the difference, how cruddy they can get, and then they're going to look much cleaner, and they'll look really nice when we put them back on.
And maybe we'll show them putting one in. We didn't show them taking one out.
Yeah, but again, it's a super easy process. One single screw and then the cap, and you're good to go.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, folks, we'll be back with the next segment. This is not for the faint of stomach, right?
Right. It's pretty gross, actually.
And for some reason, it's grosser when it is not your own, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
You're coming into a house, and it's not like anybody did anything wrong. They just didn't bother to clean it, and so it's built up and it's kind of cruddy, and so I'm taking a cloth in there, and I don't know, you can see me wiping some of it away.
yeah, I don't know. Let me see if I can get closer. And the thing is that those are transparent, so whatever is behind it is visible.
Right.
It's not like the ones that they are pretending to be metal and they're,
Right.
But you can see there the screwdriver and how things are moving in and out. Again, kind of gross.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually really gross, not kind of gross. But at least we have the ability to do those things now while we still have the apartment. and we don't have to do them while we are living here, you know.
But that is something that as a homeowner you can do at any time just as part of your home maintenance, because this builds up, it's crud, it's mold, mildew, who knows what in there. And especially if you have any kind of allergy or breathing issues.
And the way we saw you in the doorbells too, because they have not used any caulking, both doorbells were completely rusted out and thus therefore stop operating. I mean, you know, that's another example of why you need to be doing things, right? Mm-hmm. So now with our devices completely clean, we did not show them to you when we removed them, and we should have done that, but they were so yellow that you really could not see through them. Now, of course, they're nice and clean, they're transparent, they're still dated, and I will probably change them to more modern ones. But all you do simply is put it in the stem there, and it is kind of keyed, so it will only go in one way. And now you're simply going to use the screw that you removed. Most often than not, it's one screw. Even in the most modern of appliances, one screw is enough. You don't need more than one screw. And simply now screw it in. This takes surprisingly long time, even though it's a short screw. It is a very fine thread screw, so it has a lot of threads, and it looks like it's an unreasonable amount of time, as you can see here, that you actually rotate it in order for it to be seated. But that is because it is not a coarse screw at all, and it is normal from plumbing fixtures that you have to do that, but it will sit eventually, and you're going to feel that it is positively seated, and you will know that it's done. And here, in our case, it just finished. And now you take the cover, that is also keyed, so it only goes one way, so the decal on the front can tell you where is the hot water, the cold water, and how to turn the faucet on and off. You know, on each one of those valves is different. This is the first time I've seen this type of valve, but the method of repairing it and cleaning it is the same. You're going to have one screw, you're going to have a decal. Most of the time they're both keyed, and that will allow you to put it together and be useful again, so you don't have to worry if you did it correctly or not. Also a good idea, of course, is to pay attention when you take them off, so you know exactly the correct order that you did it. After you do that, what we were doing here is simply testing that we did it correctly and it operates as it should. When all of it is done, and here it's that it moves from the bottom to the top spout, and when all is done, you are now ready to move to the next step or the next project. For this house, they were both the same, so we did this twice. We only need to show it to you once, but we did move and do this twice. Alright, friend, and this is the first thing that we did that was outside. We found this plant laying on its side on the side of our property, and it was already budding, and we did like the flowers, so we did plant it there. All you need for that is a shovel, and I assume most everyone knows how to utilize a shovel, so we are not going to show you that. But we like the plant, and we decided to plant it. So we dug a hole that was wide enough for the root ball, and we're going to be established and give us nice flowers for a long period to come. Of course, we don't know why the previous owners discarded it on the side, and I couldn't find an opening or a hole that they took it off. So that remains a mystery. But this is the first thing that we changed. If you enjoyed this episode, we'll appreciate a thumbs up. And also let us know if this is a video you enjoyed and like, and if you'd like to see videos like this in the future, or you prefer our standard build videos, of which we're going to have plenty coming up in the near future. But we wanted you to take along this trip of making this older homestead into a more modern homestead that better fits our personality. We appreciate your support. From the Garage Woodworker, Miss Woodworker, Elpida, and of course the Urban Homesteading channel, we wish you a great week and we bid you well. Take care and we'll see you soon.